canine. Now, canines have a long history of assisting humans, and today they continue to have an important place in our lives as they become service animals, maybe help out in the military or law enforcement, and we are even having them give us a hand right here in conservation. Now, they are utilized for a superpower, which of course is that amazing sense of smell. Canines can smell up to 100,000 times stronger than our own. So, to demonstrate this ability, we have hidden a scented item somewhere out here for our sniffer dog, Elvis, to locate. Do you all want to see him do this? Yeah. Okay, you're going to have to give him a hand and make a lot of noise because he loves a crowd. Let's welcome out the one, the only, it's Elvis.
Where's he coming from? There he is.
There he is. All right, he is on the move. He is searching for a lemon scent. That is what he is trained to find. And, oh cute, we're using the door today. I love it. I actually don't know where the item is, so we'll see how quickly he finds it. It's over on that side, okay. Sometimes he finds little floor snacks. It is very cute. Maybe? Okay, he is back on it. Let's go, Elvis!
Yay.
Now we do this almost every single day, and he always finds the item. Sometimes he's very quick, sometimes it takes him a minute or two, but he has never beat us. Or we have never beat him, if that makes any sense. He always finds it. Maybe we're close?
Oh, they hit it underneath.
I like where it was today. That was good. So you may have seen he found a stuffed koala, and that koala represents some of our conservation work we have done in the past over in Australia. So if anybody remembers those big mega fires of 2019 and 2020, well, there was a koala sniffing dog named Smudge that helped researchers they helped researchers locate any displaced koalas. Elvis is very distracting. He's cute. Now, right here in our Southwest Conservation Hub, we have utilized a team of frog dogs. They are a team of 3 dogs, and one of the dogs is a Chihuahua mix, which I just think is absolutely cute. So it just goes to show any size canine can help us out in conservation. Now, if you do not know Elvis, he is kind of a big deal around the zoo. He is a half lab, half golden retriever, and he is 9 years old. Now, before he came to live with us here at Wegeforth Bowl, he was training to be a guide dog with America. We don't like to say he failed that program, but he did not pass that program. This boy is just way too motivated to safely guide somebody, but that is a-okay because
Elvis.
another important
Hi.
He
snapped his head up.
He is a companion to our South African cheetah named Ilangha. Now, would you all like to meet Ilangha?
Yes.
So she is going to be making her way on out here shortly. Here she is. Now, Ilangha is a female
Melissa and
South
Jessica.
African cheetah. She is also 9 years old, so they are the same age. And she was born over at our sister facility, the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, where she was the 159th cheetah born over there. We do have an amazing cheetah breeding conservation center over there. Now, unfortunately, Ilangha was the only surviving member of her litter, and she was a good candidate to have a dog as a companion. Now, not every single cheetah will need a dog. It is definitely a case-by-case basis. But what the canine does is they are going to act as a surrogate sibling. So all of those social cues they would learn from their litter mates, playing together, interacting with one another, they are going to learn that from their dog. So that is what Elvis is there for. He is a surrogate sibling. Now, they are pretty much together 24/7 except during feeding time because, remember, Elvis loves food, so he would steal all of Ilangha's food and she would just let him, so we don't want that. Now, cheetahs,
So pretty.
You are looking at the world's fastest land mammal. Does anybody have any idea what top speed cheetahs can reach? 70? Yeah, you're right on it. Anywhere between 60 to 70 miles per hour. And what is more impressive than that is they can go from 0 to 60 in just over 3.4 seconds. That is faster than most cars. It is very impressive. Now, cheetahs, they are built for speed, and even though they are a large cat, they technically do not belong to that big cat family. So
Hi,
lions,
Ilangha.
tigers, all of those big cats that really have big muscles, strong jaw power, all of that, the cheetah has given up those adaptations for speed.
Handsome boy.
So I always like to point out some of my favorite adaptations on the cheetah. So you're getting a nice good look at her body. It is very long and lean. She also has a small aerodynamic head to help her with speed. And her tail, take a look at her tail. So it is very long. It is about half the length of her body, and it is in a very interesting shape. So it's actually not in a circle. It's more in the shape of a hockey stick. So when she is going those top speeds and she needs to make a quick right or left turn, she can just flip her tail and it will turn her body very quickly, similar to like a rudder on the boat. Now, cheetahs don't have big long claws like other big cats. In fact, they have what's called semi-retractable claws, meaning their claws are going to hang out all the time. So if you think of a big cat, or maybe even like your house cat, they can retract those claws in to keep them nice and sharp. Cheetahs aren't going to be able to do that. But having those claws out all the time, it's going to act like cleats, like an athlete's cleat, to help them with traction to keep their balance. Now, we have a lot of spotted cats around the zoo, so if you're ever not sure about what type of cat you are looking at, you could just take a look at their face. So cheetahs have two black lines that go from the inner corners of their eyelids down to their mouth. Those are called malar stripes. Sometimes we might call them their Serengeti sunglasses to help with the glare of the sun. And that is because cheetahs are going to be hunting during the daytime. That is very different than other predators. Now, cheetah numbers have disappeared drastically, and it is estimated today we have less than 7,000 cheetahs left in the world. Now, they are facing a lot of problems such as habitat loss, as well as human-wildlife conflict, but here at the San Diego Zoo, we are doing our part. As I mentioned, she was born over at our breeding center, and today we have more than 180 cheetahs that have been born through that program. So it is very impressive. And it looks like our dynamic duo is gonna head on out. That was Elvis and Ilangha.
Yay.
All right, everyone, for our next couple ambassadors, I'm gonna hand things over to another care specialist. Please welcome out Kelly.
Hi everyone, thanks Tony. How's everybody enjoying the presentation so far?
Wonderful.
Great, that's what we like to hear. Well, next we are going to shift to a different conservation hub, and that is Amazonia. Now down in the Amazon rainforest, San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance and its allies are working on conserving wildlife like Andean bears, also jaguars, orchids, and the habitats that they all share. Now, life in the Amazon highly dependent on trees, and this next ambassador is no different than that. Definitely one you're going to be finding high up in the canopies of the rainforest. Folks, please welcome out
hummingbird.
One of our slowest ambassadors, Tornero, the Linnaeus two-toed sloth. Everybody give a hand to Tornero. He's actually coming out today. Now, folks, I'm serious. He can get going quite quickly though when he wants to, usually after one of his favorite treats. For example, hibiscus, eggplant, and recently, broccoli. Sounds tasty, right? Like the candy for sloth. Now, sloths are known for being incredibly slow creatures, but there's a reason for that. Everything they eat is very low energy, low calorie, things like buds, flowers, plants, and fruits up in the rainforest
Sloth booty.
canopy. Now here at Wegeforth Bowl, he does get offered a variety of produce, from cucumber to eggplant, as I mentioned, also squashes, and he gets a special sloth gel that we prepare daily for him that gives him a complete nutrition, all those vitamins and minerals that he needs. Now sloths are built for life upside down, and as a matter of fact, you will rarely see them in any other position. It is said that the only time they're not upside down is when they take a trip down to the ground to use the restroom. And for Tornero, believe it or not, he only does that about once a week. So pretty easy habitat for us.
Sloth booty.
Care specialists. We appreciate that, Tornero. Thank you. So if you take a quick look at Tornero as he makes his way across the stage there, you'll notice those appendages are very unique. The front two arms have two toes. That's where he gets the name two-toed sloth. Now there are three-toed sloths, and they're going to have three toes on the front. Now the back is always going to be the same with both species. They'll have 3 back there. But the front appendages is where you'll get that name from. Now you'll also notice that his hair kind of falls down from a part on his tummy, either side going downwards. So it's kind of backwards as what we have as humans, right? We've got the part on the top of our head and our hair comes in either direction. This is a special adaptation to allow dew droplets or rainwater to run smoothly off of the sloth's fur to keep them nice and warm and dry. Now it's even been seen out in their native habitat that they will get a green type of moss growing or algae in their fur to give a kind of a greenish tint. And it's believed that this is some form of camouflage, because if they look like a big green lump up in the canopy, maybe a predator would be less likely to see them. Now, believe it or not, sloths have been known to be good swimmers. Now, we haven't seen it from Tornero here, but apparently, if a predator is after them, they can drop right out of the canopy into a river and swim downstream to get away very quickly. Now, that can be pretty important because, as you can see, not much defense on the sloth, right? Nothing really to defend or protect themselves against predators. So getting away quickly is pretty much their best bet. Now, folks, if you are interested in helping out sloths, they are at risk in the rainforest because the more we do farming, logging, ranching, and destruction of the rainforest, it's fragmenting this unique habitat and making it harder to sustain populations of sloths. So what you can do is look for the Forestry Stewardship Council logo
He decided
on
to go
paper
rogue.
and wood products. Now, I've seen it on pizza boxes, on toilet paper, paper towels, even school supplies. So if you see that logo, you know you're supporting a great cause and a practice that is going to support wildlife and protecting them. Well, looks like Tornero may hang out a little bit longer. He's gonna hang out, yeah, no pun intended. But we'll move along while he kind of takes a break over there on that side. So let's give it up one more time for Tornero, our Linnaeus two-toed sloth. Now, folks, some of you may have noticed our next guest has made a brief appearance already. We are going to shift right back to San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance's One Health approach to saving species worldwide. Now, this particular ambassador happens to be the largest of its kind in North America, this species, and they are known to be what we call a keystone species. How many of you have heard this term before? Great, lots of hands go up. So keystone species basically references a type of wildlife that is so vital to their ecosystem that if you were to remove them, that ecosystem would essentially cease to exist, right? It would fall apart. And for the American beaver, North American beaver here, that is the case. Everybody please welcome Justine Beaver. Get it? Now, Justine is coming up on about 14 years of age now, believe it or not. So she is definitely no spring chicken. And she has been here with us since she was just a tiny little beaver. She came to us from Minnesota Zoo, and it took quite a while to gain her trust. We spent hours and hours bonding with her and giving her positive reinforcement, special treats, and doing unique experiences with her to gain that level of trust that you're seeing here today. Now, beavers are adapted for life in and around the water. They are equipped with 2 sets of eyelids. One is the solid one that you're used to seeing on wildlife. The other one is a clean or clear or kind of opaque thin layer that's underneath that they can close when they're underwater, acting like a pair of swim goggles. So it protects the eyelids but allows them to see underwater. Now, they can also shut off the openings to their nose and their ears when they're underwater so that they are protected from water coming in. Now, believe it or not, beavers can hold their breath up to 15 minutes underwater. Pretty impressive, right? You want to know how we know that? Because she's done it right out here. So, pretty impressive trait of the beaver. Now, that long tail in the back that's flattened, it's very strong, it's very powerful. They use it for a couple different reasons. First off, as a rudder, right? They can help propel themselves through the water. They can use it for communication. Typically, if beavers are in the water and a threat comes around, maybe a predator or a loud noise happens, they will slap the surface of the water with that tail, making a big disturbance, and that lets all the other beavers know to take cover and dive under the water until the coast is clear. Now, they also will use it to stabilize themselves. As you can see here, beavers do have the ability to to walk bipedally like us humans. So they can actually walk on those back feet just like us. She's giving you a little demonstration there. With those front paws up in the air. Pretty much one of the cutest things you'll ever see. And they'll use that tail kind of like a tripod or a little kickstand to help support their body weight. Now, their coat is incredibly dense, very silky soft, and it has multiple layers. So much more thick, dense undercoat to keep them super warm, and some guard hairs along the outside that will help waterproof the beaver. Now, it's said that they actually can sometimes, when they dive underwater, they'll collect bubbles in their fur, and sometimes they'll actually grab those bubbles and use them to breathe underwater, similar to a sea otter. Now, folks, beavers, again, as I mentioned, are a keystone species, and what do you think that is? What do they build? Does everybody know? Dams, right? They build dams. Dams are incredibly useful to a lot of wildlife. When a beaver dams up a river, they create a water source, a big lagoon or a still source of water that a lot of other wildlife depends on. Things like amphibians, spawning fish, even birds. They can collect food from that area and feed, and they can also use it for, again, breeding or for housing purposes. Now, speaking of dams, beavers build dams, yes, to stop the waterways, but they also have what we call lodges, which are multiple room featured in a big wooden structure. So they'll have usually a place to dry off, maybe a place to use the restroom, and even a place to sleep. So it's quite intricate, not just your basic dam. Well, Justine will probably hang out here a little bit longer, and it looks like Tornero is still just hanging too. So folks, we'll go ahead and move along. Let's give it up for Justine Beaver and again, Tornero hanging out there in the corner.
Yay.
All right, everyone. San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance is creating a world where all life thrives, and never has this been more important. As first responders in the field, we are there, boots on the ground, applying a century's worth of firsthand knowledge of wildlife care, nutrition, and medical expertise to global conservation challenges. Now we collaborate, we innovate, and we inspire to create a world where people and wildlife can thrive together for a healthy planet. Conservation is at the heart of everything we do here, but we cannot do it alone. We need dedicated allies like all of you. So thank you all for being here today. So that we can all ensure that wildlife thrives. You can donate your time or your money to fund a conservation project. You can volunteer your knowledge here at the zoo as well. Because when wildlife thrives, all life thrives, folks. Thank you for being here today, and enjoy the rest of your day here at the world famous San Diego Zoo. Goodbye, everyone.